Hi, I'm Nick. In this course, we're going to make a video game that can be played on both Windows and Mac OS. Players will control a frog that hops around a swamp and collects flies. Meanwhile, a predatory bird will chase the player around. The object of the game is to collect as many flies as possible before the bird gets you. Don't worry if you've never made a game before or have no experience programming computers. I'll take you step by step and teach you how to write the code to make this game come to life. Before we get into the step by step, let's talk a little bit about how games are made. In general, there are three major types of roles involved in the creation of games. They are game designers, game artists, and game developers. Sometimes these roles are taken on by one person. Other times they're spread across medium-sized teams of 10, 20, or 50 people. And in the case of large game studios that make AAA titles you might see in TV commercials or store shelves, these three roles and more are split into very specific job titles among a team of hundreds or even thousands of people. In these lessons, we're going to be focused on game development, but before we begin, let's take a closer look at all three areas so you understand what we're doing as well as what we're not doing. Game designers figure out how a game should play. They ask the fundamental questions like, what is a game? It may seem intuitive. We know when something is a game and when something is not a game. But in specific terms, how are we able to intuit that conclusion? What is it about a movie or a book or a website that's not a game? Writing a definition that encompasses every type of game is nearly impossible. It's almost like trying to define art or life. One approach is to think about a game as a set of problems that the player has to solve. And hopefully, those problems are interesting and varied in their design and difficulty. In our game, the goal is to collect as many flies as possible. But the problem is that a bird is always chasing you around. The player has to balance the risk of getting close to the bird versus the reward of collecting flies and getting a higher score. They have to make decisions about where to move and where to avoid. Game artists are the people that make anything you see and hear in a game, including everything from 3D models, textures, user interfaces, sounds, and more. In a broader definition, you might also include writers and voice actors in the case of story-driven games. In this course, we will not be making game art because that's a deep topic on its own, and it's important that we first learn how to put a game together with code. The 3D models and textures we need will be included in the project files in upcoming videos. However, if you are interested in game art, be sure to check out the notes associated with this video for some helpful resources. Finally, there are game programmers. This is the area we're going to focus on. Game programmers write almost all the code that makes the game work. Sometimes game designers will write smaller pieces of code to script bits of functionality or character dialogue, or a game artist in a technical role might write a special program called a shader that helps change the look of the game. But the vast majority of code is written by game programmers. Now that you know we're going to be focusing on code and game development, we're ready to move forward.